6 days across the Tasman, high seas, sleepless nights, endless horizon, and a surprise wingman. Quick question, would you tackle an open crossing on a boat that had never been more than 100 miles offshore? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. By the way, I'm Dee and this is Bob. We split our time between Florida and Soul Searcher, our Iliad 62 Catamaran, and we love bringing you along for the ride. So, the crossing. Art and Cindy made it in 6 days, 1,530 nautical miles, rolly seas, relentless nights. This was no holiday cruise. It was what sailors call a delivery. You get from point A to point B and you do it safely. That's the whole job. Although they are very experienced at doing big ocean crossings, our boat was not yet proven. They went for it in the best of style, but they didn't do it alone. From the moment they passed Lord Howe Island, about a third of the way across the Tasman Sea, one lone albatross joined them, a big bird with a huge wingspan soaring effortlessly in their wake. The Lord Howe albatross is actually tiny for the species, but Cindy's friend, she named him Lord Howe, was still immense. For 4 straight days, he followed Soul, arcing over the waves, skimming the surface, circling the boat, ever present. And then when they finally reached the northern tip of New Zealand, he gave one last loop, as if to say, "You're home now, my work here is done," and then he disappeared. That's not just the Seabird, guys. That's a guardian. Nature's escort across one of the roughest patches of ocean on the planet. When they rounded the top of the North Island, they knew they had just made Iliad history with their crossing. They're always calm and cool about their level of skill, but I'm sure they breathed a sigh of relief as they finally turned into the protective East Coast to head south. I know Bob and I were so relieved that they had made it in one piece. And where were Bob and I? Not there. We were on land, ready to join the party later. But this is where our New Zealand story begins, with old friends, family reunions, and our first taste of the Bay of Islands. When the crew and Soul Searcher reached Opua, Maori for the blossom of the Pokatua tree, she wasn't just tied up and done. That's when the paperwork process started. New Zealand's quarantine, immigration, and customs check-in. For anyone who's only flown into a country, not floated in, here's how it's different by boat. They don't wait for you in an office, they come out to your boat. Officials board, papers in hand. They check passports, file the official entry documents, and go through the boat itself. They look at your stores, food, alcohol, plants, and any potential biohazards. They confirm where you've been, what you're carrying, and make sure you're not bringing in anything that could threaten their fragile ecosystem or break their import laws. It feels formal, serious, because it is. Soul Searcher flew her yellow quarantine flag proudly for the first time ever. Then she finally got her official clearance papers, stamped and handed to Captain Art on the spot when the whole process was done. The New Zealand officials were fantastic, professional and thorough. They knew their jobs and did them well. Their process was efficient and seamless. For us, this was huge. Our very first time checking into country by boat. Not just docking and stepping onto new soil, but having the whole vessel inspected and registered as an arrival. A milestone moment for any cruiser. So when Art and Cindy handled that entire process, they weren't just getting Soul through customs. They were making history for all of us, our first international clearance. And they did it flawlessly. The fact that they had done it on multiple deliveries in the past didn't downplay the importance of this journey for our dear Soul Searcher. And it didn't downplay just how much they do for us in our journey. We simply don't have the experience to do what they do, and we are darn lucky to have them as friends who were willing to also hold our lives in their hands. We're blessed, and we know it. And if you know someone who'd love to find out what checking into New Zealand by boat looks like, share this video with them. It might inspire their adventure. And let me know if you want to see more about the customs, immigration, and whole check-in process. Maybe someday we'll make a video about it. Bob and I landed in Auckland. A week later, rested and ready. First step, my niece Kirsty and her husband Justin. He's a Kiwi through and through, and she became one when she married him. They are the family that we always visit when we travel to New Zealand. When you hear Justin helping me with Maori pronunciation in this series, it's because he's a native and because he's eager to help us out with these videos. We really appreciate that.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou. Hello everyone, I am Justin, Dee's nephew. I'm a proud Kiwi living in Aotearoa, New Zealand, in the city Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, with my wife Kirsty. Haere mai, come join us on our visit around Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Thanks, Justin. We love you and Kirsty so much. We spent time catching up and did the tourist circuit. Weta Cave, the All Blacks rugby experience, and dinner on the town. And then we rented a car to drive north to reunite with Seoul. The drive to Opua is 3 hours of rolling hills, farmland, and more sheep than I've ever seen in one place. We dropped the car at Kerikeri Airport. Kerikeri means to keep digging in Maori, a nod to its fertile volcanic soils that have made it a hub for Maori horticulture. The airport itself is tiny. I'm talking one gate and a vending machine. Luckily, we snagged the one cab driver in town to take us back to the Bay of Islands Marina. Travel tip, always book your Kerikeri cab in advance. And finally, Soul Searcher. A year into owning her, and we were only just starting to feel like we had some idea of what we were doing. Cruising is humbling like that. So are reunions. The last time we saw Soul, she was in Australia. Now she'd crossed the Tasman and was in New Zealand. We were in for a lot of fun. The Bay of Islands,
Pēwhairangi,
in Māori, was our first playground in New Zealand. Subtropical, lush, and legendary. For centuries, it was a center of Maori life and navigation, dotted with pā and trading routes. But here's the thing. Subtropical in New Zealand doesn't mean warm turquoise water. It means stunning landscapes with icy dips. Bob was super bummed out he couldn't go into the water. He's a tropical bathwater lover. No cold water for him. Our first stop, Roberton Island, or Motuarohia.
Motuarohia.
The name means reconnoitered land, reflecting its role as a strategic outlook. Archaeological sites show Maori lived up here centuries ago, building pā, which are fortified villages, on the headlands. These weren't just defensive structures, they were cultural hubs, spiritual places, and a safe haven in a land shaped by ocean and tribe. Standing there, you feel it. The silence carries weight. It's paradise, yes, but it's also history, and we are its guests. Bob and I love the Maori culture, its people, and its legends. Here in the north of the North Island, we were closer to the history of the Maori than on any of our previous trips to New Zealand. It was profound. From there, we drifted over to Te Anganamate Bay.
Te Anganamate Bay.
On the mainland. The skies opened up and gave us a day of cool rain, the kind that makes everything misty and cinematic. We stayed cozy on board, flew the drone between squalls, and enjoyed that classic Bay of Islands combination of rugged cliffs, green hills, and water that shifts from silver to blue with the clouds. Next stop, Ōpunga Cove.
Ōpunga.
The name Ōpunga means place of hollow, a nod to its protective geography. Here, our great adventure was binging Daisy Jones and the Six. I mean, Look, sometimes you chase whales and anchor in epic coves. Sometimes you binge watch rock drama while surrounded by the most beautiful scenery in the world. I mean, both count as cruising memories. We next cruised by Te Rawahiti Inlet
Te Tai Rāwhiti.
as a potential place to stop, then realized it was ground zero for New Zealand's fight against Caulerpa, a fast-spreading exotic seaweed. It's an invasive pest that blankets out the seafloor like a carpet, choking out native species and turning vibrant ecosystems into monocultures. Not good. Left unchecked, Caulerpa spreads rapidly, hitching rides on anchors, fishing gear, even shoes. It smothers habitats for fish, shellfish, and seagrass, and once it's established, it's almost impossible to remove. New Zealand has taken it seriously. Bans on anchoring in infested bays, surveillance programs, and strict cleaning protocols for boats. It's a battle to protect their unique marine life, and we got a close-up reminder of why vigilance matters. Then came Whangamumu Bay.
Whangamumu.
In Maori, Whangamumu means Bay of Shelter, and it was here we stumbled upon something we didn't even know existed, the famous hole in the rock.
Motukōkako.
Motukōkako. Motukōkako. And here's where we admit we were bad tourists. We hadn't read the guidebooks. We hadn't planned to see it. We didn't know it existed. We literally stumbled upon us, and it stopped us in our tracks. It was amazing. This immense natural arch towers above the sea, carved by centuries of wind and waves. Tour boats buzz through the opening like tiny toys. We just sat there, jaws dropped, cameras clicking. It was magnificent, a total surprise, and honestly, the most magical way to discover something so iconic. Not on a checklist, not on an itinerary, but by chance. That's the beauty of cruising and the irony of being a bad tourist. From there, we passed Cape Brett Lighthouse. Rakumangamanga in Maori, meaning branching tree, a name that reflects its role as a navigational landmark for Maori and European sailors alike. We watched an entire sailboat regatta fill the horizon and hundreds of seabirds feeding on the water. It was chaos, it was beauty, and it felt like nature putting on a show just for us. And that wrapped up our first week in the Bay of Islands. From Maori history to modern-day Netflix binges, from invasive seaweed to surprise rock formations, New Zealand was already showing us her layers. Next time, we continue south, with friends arriving from America, whales in Green Bay, and a very unexpected and disturbing discovery at the local Bottle store. Stay tuned. We're here to really discover the country we thought we already knew, but there are surprises coming. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you can see what's in store for us. Stay with us, and until the next time, keep searching.